Hey everybody, wanted to go over some types of reactions today. This video is going to be about combustion reactions, but before we get started with that, I wanted to talk to you and define some things, and starting with reactants and products. In a chemical reaction, there are two sets of things. There are things on the blunt head of the arrow, or on the butt end of the arrow, or on the back end of the arrow. Anything on this side, typically it's going to be the left side, are reactants. Okay, and then anything that the arrow points to are products. Okay, and so it doesn't matter. There could be 150 of these things, plus this, plus this, plus this. Okay, this is what's produced in the reaction. This is the thing that we end with. The reactants are the things that we start with. The other thing that I want to mention is the diatomic elements. As we write reactions, we may be asked to write compounds or elements. Well, most elements are just the symbol. Most compounds we've already dealt with naming, and so there are 7 elements that are diatomic, and diatomic meaning 2 atoms in them. So if we had hydrogen, that's going to form H2, or when we find hydrogen in nature, it's H2. If you remember oxygen, oxygen is O2. You may remember that from biology. Okay. Nitrogen in the air is N2. And so I remember this using Hankelbrief as my little mnemonic device. And so as we start writing these reactions and getting used to them, know that there are diatomic elements with this mnemonic Hankelbrief. But we wanted to talk today about combustion reactions, so let's keep in mind that combustion reactions react with oxygens and air, and maybe more than any other type of reaction, the diatomic thing is going to show up all the time because we're going to react whatever it is with O2. Okay? And the general way I remember this is it produces the oxide of the compound being burned, of all the elements in the compound being burned. But most of the time, okay, you're going to form carbon dioxide and water. So you get this general form of a combustion reaction where you have big organic molecules that get burnt. Organic molecules, not that you have to know what is in an organic molecule, but we're talking about compounds that are made of C, H, and O, and those compounds are reacted with the O2 in the atmosphere. Notice here, these are the reactants. This is the most specific of all the types of reactions. We have a specific reactant, O2, okay, and then we form the oxide. In this case, it's going to be carbon dioxide and water. Water is the oxide of hydrogen. So we're forming CO2 and water typically. And these are some examples of that. Here is methane, that famous organic molecule that's natural gas. This is burned in oxygen, and we form carbon dioxide and water. And I get it, we're going to have to balance this thing, and you know, just because we have 4 hydrogens here, we don't have 4 hydrogens here. That'll work itself out. But this is the general form of a combustion reaction. Here is octane. This is the reaction that happens to power your car. Octane, again, plus O2, as a reactant, forms carbon dioxide plus water. Here, this last example is a case where this rule kind of holds. If you get too caught up in the shortcut of the combustion reaction, you're going to miss out a little bit. Because here we just have carbon. So carbon plus oxygen, remember, you're reacting with oxygen. That's going to form the oxide of the elements that are present in the reactant compound. And so C plus O2 reacts to form CO2, carbon dioxide. Why is there no water? Because what we started with had no water in it to form water, or had no hydrogen in it to form water. So just be careful. Every once in a while you'll see a reaction where you're giving up, where you don't have, make sure I say this correctly, where you don't have hydrogen in it, or you may not have carbon in it, or you may not have either of them in it, and you have to form the oxygen, the oxide compound of those reactants. Okay, so that is combustion reactions, primarily oxygen gives us carbon dioxide and water. Yeah, it releases heat, but we're not worried about that yet. Okay, so that is combustion reactions.